Hey there, all. My name is Liz Wright, and I am a professor of psychology at Northwest Vista College in San Antonio, Texas. Been doing videos talking about random psychological research and um, giving people some interesting things to look up or to study or to review while we are on break. And one of the things that I was reading about today that I found interesting, but I've seen often, is this sex difference in how we refer to college faculty. So I was reading a post on a discussion board of faculty members, and the faculty member was asking, um, you know, does anybody know of any research relating to what students call faculty members? Um, and someone else responded that they had done a study looking at how often male teachers versus female teachers were referred to as doctor or in some professional capacity. So, professor, um, doctor, things like that. Because students tend to refer to female instructors as Miss or Mrs., as opposed to calling them professor or doctor. So I went and looked at the article that she was referring to, and they had surveyed both students and faculty members and asked them, what do you call, how do you refer to, male faculty members? How do you refer to female faculty members? And it got me thinking about, you know, when I was in school, and I'm not trying to make this a like back in my day, but when I was in school, honestly, I don't even remember most of my faculty members' first names. And we have a lot of students at my school, and then a lot of other faculty that I've talked to that said that students refer to them by their first names, or they'll say, for example, for me, they'll say Dr. Liz, or and I tell my students that, if they want to call me Dr. Wright, Miss Wright, Liz, whatever makes them feel most comfortable, whatever they feel comfortable calling me is fine. Um, but I do know that there's some folks out there that want to draw that boundary and have students call them doctor, professor, whatever it is. Um, but I just find it really interesting because, like I said, when I was going to school, I didn't even know my instructors' first names. No. I mean, I just knew them as Dr. So and so, or Professor so and so, or however they introduced themselves. And maybe it was me, but I also don't remember my classmates ever trying to call, um, one of the faculty that I worked with for a really long time, like Margaret or Sandy. Like, it's just, no, that was not appropriate. You do not do that. So I find it interesting that, I interact with some of our students now, and they'll say like, oh, well, I was in Jen's class, I was in Don's class. And I'm just like, okay, you mean Professor Fox and, Dr. Lucas? Like, okay. Um, so that brought up a good question of, why is it that sometimes students feel that they, uh, well, maybe not so much feel that they can, but why is it that we typically talk to women differently than we talk to men? And one of the things that study found was that the students indicated that the more they spent time with a person, the more likely they would feel comfortable talking to them by saying, Miss Wright, or calling me Liz, as opposed to saying Dr. Wright. So I wanted to bring that up and see what people who are taking classes right now thought about that. Like, what should we be calling our instructors? And, if you were not given any sort of guidance by your instructor, so instructor did not say, call me such and such, how would you call them? What would if you had to address them somehow, how would you address them? So I'm interested to see what your responses are.